Are you exhausted from the search for the right SSD for your PS5? Well, we've got the solution. We've compiled a list of the top 5 best SSDs for PS5 to make it easier for you to select the right one for you. Links to each product mentioned in the video can be found in the description below. Before we get started, if you're new here, don't forget to ring the bell for the most recent tech updates and hit the subscribe button. Now, without further ado, let's begin. Number 5. Seagate FireCuda 530, the best all-around PS5 SSD for 2024. Even nearly 3 years on the Seagate FireCuda 530 is a tough act to follow as far as the best SSDs for PS5 go. It features the excellent FiSN E18 controller paired with 176-layer Micron TLC flash memory for performance that's hard to beat, as it's capable of reaching rates of up to 7,300 megabytes/read speeds. In our testing, we found that this top-performing drive achieved 6,539 megabytes/sequential read speeds, making it still one of the fastest models that you can slot into your PS5 M2 port to this day. At its time of release, the Seagate FireCuda 530 was incredibly expensive. While it's still pricey in the highest configurations, as many Gen 4.0 drives are, the cost of a new drive has come down dramatically over the years. What helps the Seagate FireCuda 530 stand out the most is its write endurance, a rough indicator of how long an SSD should last with regular use, which is seriously high level. You can expect around 1,275 TBO for 1 TB and 2,550 TBO for 2 TB, which is substantially higher than what you will find on many SSDs for PS5. Couple this with an excellent included heatsink, and you've got a winning combination here. It's no longer quite the fastest on the market, but it's still well worth picking up for your system at these prices. Number 4. Samsung 990 Pro, the best high-end SSD for £5 for 2024. The Samsung 990 Pro maxes out what's possible with NVMe Gen 4.0 technology in a way that few other SSDs for £5 can. Available in either 1 TB or 2 TB configurations, this high-speed drive is seriously impressive across the board compared to the competition. In our testing, we found that the Samsung 990 Pro was able to achieve read and write speeds of 7,465.49 megabytes/ of 6,887.68 megabytes/ respectively in our industry standard tests. That's a considerable improvement on the brand's previous flagship model. Increases the drive speed by around 50%. Loading times and file transfer times are equally impressive. In our testing, around 10 gigabytes of data made the jump to this NVMe SSD in less than 4 seconds, which is incredibly fast. Keep in mind that the Samsung 990 Pro is a little pricier than some other SSDs for £5 in our roundup at the moment. You can currently expect to pay around $169.99/£155/AU $265 for the 1 TB version and $289.99/£283.99/AU $439 for the larger 2 TB variant. This high price tag is what keeps this drive from reaching the top spot in our roundup, but we're sure that it will begin to receive regular discounts in the coming months. It also happens to run quite hot when pushed to its limits, so be sure to get the version with the PS5 compatible heatsink installed or fit your own for the best experience. Number 3. Black SN850 SSD for £5, the best officially licensed SSD for £5. The Black SN850 is easily up there as a top pick for the best SSD for £5 when you're looking at options are officially endorsed by Sony. This storage drive, famously used by the console's architect Mark Cerny, far exceeds the 5,500 megabytes/read requirements from Sony and utilizes a thick heatsink to ensure that thermal throttling doesn't impact your gaming performance when the console heats up. Something else that propels the Black SN850 ahead of some of the competition is its aggressive price-to-performance capabilities. In 2023, it is entirely possible to pick up the 1 TB variant for around the $150 mark, with the bigger 2 TB configuration frequently retailing at or under $200. Although we don't recommend it quite so strongly, the standard non-branded heatsink model can frequently be found hovering around $130. Just be aware, however, that you will need to fit your heatsink to use this model with your 5 pounds. In our testing, we found that the WD Black SN850 delivered top-end performance and achieved 6,550 megabytes as Insomi's internal benchmark. It's a testament to just how well constructed the drive is with its in-house controller and SanDisk flash memory that it can easily still keep up with some of the best in the industry years after its launch. Number 2. Adata XPG Gammix S70 Blade, the best budget SSD for 5 pounds. The Adata XPG Gammix S70 Blade is a brilliant budget SSD for 5 pounds. It is competitively priced compared to its rivals and performs just as strongly as some of the flagship models in our roundup. In our testing, we found that this drive clocked in at a hopping 6,384 megabytes / sequential read speed. The build quality of the Adata XPG Gammix S70 Blade is where the more modest pricing becomes the most apparent. The low-profile heatsink, while adequate, just isn't as robust as what you'll find on more high-end offerings. Performance is the most important factor with any SSD for 5 pounds, and the Adata XPG Gammix S70 Blade is no slouch where speed is concerned. We were impressed to see some top-end games like Horizon, Forbidden West, and Death Stranding. Director's Cut loading faster on this 5 pounds SSD than with the console's native storage. If you're on a tight budget, we think that the 1TB model is a hard value to beat given just how fast it is. Number 1. Kingston Fury Renegade SSD, the best overall SSD for 5 pounds for 2024. The Kingston Fury Renegade excels across the board and can easily be considered one of the best SSDs for 5 pounds. That's because this model, which comes with a dedicated heatsink to ensure compatibility with the console, delivers high sequential performance that we haven't seen from many other drives at the price point. In our testing, we found that the Kingston Renegade scored a sequential read figure of 6,500 megabytes / Insomi's internal benchmarking test. That easily makes it the quickest drive that we have ever got our hands on. For comparison, most other drives we tested tended to hover around the 6,100 megabytes / mark. Speed and build quality aside, another of the Kingston Fury Renegade SSD's major strengths is its competitive price point. You can get the 1TB variant for just $117.99 / 152 pounds and 40 pence / AU $197.21, while the 2TB version runs at $244.19 / 260 pounds and 96 pence / AU $360.93. It's an aggressive price point given the prowess of the hardware inside, which includes the excellent Fission E18 controller. We strongly encourage you to pick the heatsink model as, while there is a standard version available a few dollars cheaper, not doing so will mean that you will need to install your cooling solution.